जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानन्दन व्रज जन रंजन। यशोदानन्दन व्रज जन रंजन। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी। जय राधा वृंदावन चंद्र राधा वृंदावन चंद्र राधे। जय राधे जय राधे जय राधे जय श्री राधे। जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय। जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय श्रील प्रभुपाद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जय राधा वृंदावन चंद्र राधा वृंदावन चंद्र राधे। जय गौर निताई जय गौर निताई गौर निताई जय गौर निताई। जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय श्रील प्रभुपाद।
Jayam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivrajakacarya Ashtottar Shatashi Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya, BBT founder Acharya, savior of the whole world, Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Granth-raj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishthiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, titled Creation, Chapter 3, Krishna is the source of all incarnations, text number 33. Yatra ime satasat रूपे यत्रे में सदसद्रूपे प्रतिसिद्धे स्वसंविदा अविद्यया आत्मनि कृते इति तत् ब्रह्मदर्शनम् यत्रे मे सदसद्रूपे प्रतिसिद्धे स्वसंविदा अविद्ययात्मनि कृते इति तत् ब्रह्मदर्शनम् यत्रे मे सदसद्रूपे प्रतिसिद्धे स्वसंविदा अविद्ययात्मनि कृते इति तद्ब्रह्मदर्शनम्. यत्रे मे सदसद्रूपे प्रतिसिद्धे स्वसंविदा अविद्ययात्मनि कृते इति तद्ब्रह्मदर्शनम्. यत्रे मे सदसद्रूपे सिद्धे ससंविदा विद्ययात्मनि कृते इति तद्ब्रह्मदर्शनम्. यत्रे मे सदसद्रूपे प्रतिसिद्धे स्वसंविदा अविद्ययात्मनि कृते इति तद्ब्रह्मदर्शनम्. Word to word translation. Yatra, whenever, ime, in all these, sat asat, gross and subtle, rupe, in the forms of, pratisiddhe, on being nullified, swasamvida, by self-realization, avidyaya, by ignorance, atmani, in the self, krite, having been imposed, iti, thus, that is, Brahma Darshanam, the process of seeing the Absolute. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation: whenever a person experiences by self-realization that both the gross and subtle bodies have nothing to do with the pure self, at that time he sees himself as well as the Lord. Translation with repetition. Whenever a person experiences by self-realization that both the gross and subtle bodies have nothing to do with the pure self, at that time he sees himself as well as the Lord. Purport: the difference between self-realization and material illusion is to know that the temporary or illusory impositions of material energy in the shape of gross and subtle bodies are superficial coverings of the self. The coverings take place due to ignorance. Such coverings are never effective in the person of the personality of Godhead. Knowing this convincingly is called liberation or seeing the Absolute. This means that perfect self-realization is made possible by adoption of godly or spiritual life. Self-realization means becoming indifferent to the needs of the gross and subtle bodies and becoming serious about the activities of the self. The impetus for activities is generated from the self, but such activities become illusory due to ignorance of the real position of the self. By ignorance, self-interest is calculated in terms of the gross and subtle bodies, and therefore a whole set of activities is spoilt, life after life. When, however, one meets the self by proper culture, the activities of the self begin. Therefore, a man who is engaged in the activities of the self is called Jivana Mukta, or a liberated person even in the conditional existence. This perfect stage of self-realization is attained not by artificial means, but under the lotus feet of the Lord, who is always transcendental. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that He is present in everyone's heart, and from Him only all knowledge, remembrance, or forgetfulness take place. When the living being desires to be an enjoyer of material energy, illusory phenomena, the Lord covers the living being in the mystery of forgetfulness, and thus the living being misinterprets the gross body and subtle mind to be his own self. And by culture of transcendental knowledge, when the living being prays to the Lord for deliverance from the clutches of forgetfulness, the Lord, by His causeless mercy, removes the living being's illusory curtain, and thus he realizes his own self. He then engages himself in the service of the Lord in his eternal constitutional position, becoming liberated from the conditioned life. All this is executed by the Lord either through his external potency or directly by the internal potency. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim. Yat kripatamham vande Shri Gurum Dinitaranam. Yat kripatamham vande Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. So today we'll be discussing on the 33rd verse of 3rd chapter, that is titled as Krishna is the source of all incarnations, of first canto, which is about the creation. So in this chapter, the description of various incarnations of the Lord appears in the first section, and then the importance of this understanding of these incarnations is also mentioned in the balance verses. So this section that we are going through right now, from the 29th verse onwards, in this section it is the importance of knowing about the Lord, His incarnations, His personality, different features of His personality, the importance of all that is stressed here. There were questions by the sages in the Naimisharanya to Suta Goswami, and in answer to those questions, these verses are being spoken. Especially, there was a question about what are the various incarnations of the Lord and what are His activities. So, in context of those questions, these verses come in this section of Srimad Bhagavatam. Various incarnations are described, and then later on the rest of the Bhagavatam is going to be the elaboration of all those different incarnations which are mentioned herein. And now the shloka today we have come to is Yatre me sadasad rupe pratisiddhe swasamvida avidyayatmani krite iti tad brahma darshanam. It is about Brahma Darshanam. The most important word in this shloka is about Brahma Darshanam, that is seeing the self as well as the Lord, seeing the absolute truth. So this is the goal of all the spiritual activities that are mentioned in various scriptures, that our acharyas have created various systems for, or various processes for. The ultimate goal is to achieve this Brahma Darshanam. So this Brahma Darshanam, the process for it begins from realizing the self. Like it is told that at that time he sees himself as well as the Lord. In the translation, it starts like, whenever a person experiences by self-realization. So the beginning is self-realization, understanding who we are. Yatre me, whenever a person experiences by self-realization, swasamvida. Samvid means realization or knowing something in truth. Samvit. Samvit means it's complete knowledge. Vit dhatu is for knowledge, and samvit is complete knowledge. Complete knowledge does not remain only as knowledge, but it converts into realization. So that is why this word is used, swasamvida, that is self-realization. It is not just knowledge, but it has converted into realization for a devotee. So when a person experiences yatre me by self-realization, swasamvida, that both the gross and subtle bodies, sat asat rupe, gross and subtle, both sat asat rupe, what happens? The sat asat rupe pratisiddhe, on being nullified, and one person comes to realization that they have nothing to do, pratisiddhe. Siddhe means something which is of benefit, something which is of use, whereas pratisiddhe is something which is not of use, nothing to do with. So these gross and subtle forms have nothing to do with Atmani, this pure self. So both the gross and subtle bodies have nothing to do. This is the self-realization that this gross body of mine, the body made of Panchabhutas, and the subtle body made of mind, intelligence and ego, it actually has nothing to do with me. With me, the Atma, the pure self. So this comes as the realization by experience. So person experiences yatre me swasamvida sadasad rupe pratisiddhe atmani. At that time he sees himself as well as the Lord. Iti tad Brahma darshanam. So this Brahma darshanam, it begins from a person's experience of self-realization. When he understands, when he realizes that he is not this body, but he is spirit soul. He is not the gross body, neither the subtle body. In one sense, it is very easy to realize that I am not this gross body. Philosophically as well as philosophically, logically you say, or experientially also. It is kind of easier. But to disassociate the mind, intelligence and the identity, the ego, from the soul, it's extremely difficult. That is why when we come into Krishna consciousness, in the initial years, when we learn new things, new practices, okay, we should not drink tea, coffee, we should not eat non-veg, we should not take intoxication. It's very easy to give up all those things. Correct? We take up austerities like Vrindavan, we do so much parikrama, we do ekadashis. So all the gross austerities, gross the anarthas, giving up all those is quite easier. But then, and in those days, initial days, it feels very lively and very active. We feel so much of advancement in Krishna consciousness in those initial years. Oh, I gave up tea, coffee, I gave up this, I gave up that, I stopped seeing TV, I stopped going to movies, I stopped playing sports. So much advancement. 2 rounds, 4 rounds, 8, 12, 16. Ashraya levels, initiation, everything comes up. Right? Second initiation also. Brahmana initiation also we come up to. But then after some years we start feeling, oh, what is this? There is no advancement happening. Still those anarthas are there. Still so many desires keep coming up. Lusty desires or desires to lord over, desires to enjoy. That is not going at all. And then we start feeling maybe initial days I was practicing nicely, nowadays I am not able to do it. So that thought starts coming in. And often devotees then they give up to these things and they say that okay, theek hai, I don't know how, when it will go away, what will happen, I don't know. Actually what is happening is the subtle body, the sukshma sharira, the mind, intelligence and ego, it is because the effect on those is not very much visible, we think that there is no advancement happening. The effect on the mind, wherein what kind of thoughts are generated, the effect on intelligence, whether we are able to discern what is right and wrong based on the understanding given by Lord in Bhagavad Gita, that does not seem to be, in the sense, happening much in the body. And ego, very difficult. Hardly any change in ego seems to be. We get angry at small things. We get affected by somebody's comments, isn't it? We get affected by some inconveniences, mental inconveniences. So it becomes very difficult to see ourselves separate from this subtle body and to work on this subtle body's anarthas, subtle anarthas. Grossly we may stop, but subtle anarthas it becomes quite challenging. And that is where the devotee's real struggle starts. But then if the devotee continues practicing his devotional service, practicing his reading of the scriptures, his chanting of the holy names, that effect will automatically work on this subtle body, and eventually this subtle body also will be purified. Our mind, our intelligence and the ego will also get purified. It is said in the Shastras that a devotee who has akinchana bhakti towards the Lord, yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana sarvair gunais tatra samasate suraha. So automatically all the good qualities, all the godly qualities will start developing in a devotee if he continues his akinchana bhakti, if he continues his focused bhakti towards the Supreme Lord. So irrespective of whether we are able to see any tangible progress in our lives or not, we should continue practicing our devotional activities as given to us by Srila Prabhupada. So if we somehow or other continue, if we struggle to practice those principles given by Srila Prabhupada, eventually it will have effect, and all the anarthas, even in the subtle body, will also be washed away, and we will be situated in the pure self. We will be able to see it separately. It will take time, definitely. It will take time, because subtle anarthas, we cannot perceive them, we cannot see the quantum of the anarthas in our heart. The amount of negative thoughts generating capacity that the mind has, we are not able to see it. Whereas our gross anarthas capacity we knew. How many hours I used to sleep, how many cups of coffee or tea I used to drink. I knew the capacity. So overcoming that was easier. There was a tangible progress. But in case of mind, intelligence and ego, we don't have that tangible understanding, first of all, of how much my mind is disturbed. How much my mind focuses on negative thoughts. How much my intelligence is driven by material understanding, material knowledge. We are not aware of it. And hence it becomes difficult to even track the progress. So in these situations, instead of observing ourselves how much I have advanced in terms of my thoughts, in terms of my intelligence and in terms of my ego, a devotee should focus positively on the activities, on getting involved more and more seriously in the activities of devotional service. So by doing this, definitely the process will act, and one day the devotee will be able to see that this gross body and this subtle body have nothing to do with me. And that is where his self-realization begins. In the purport also, Srila Prabhupada says that knowing this this means that perfect self-realization is made possible by adoption of godly or spiritual life. Self-realization means becoming indifferent to the needs of the gross and subtle bodies and becoming serious about the activities of the self. So, perfect self-realization also means becoming serious about the activities of the self. That means the spiritual activities. So whatever activities have been given to us by Srila Prabhupada, if we develop more and more seriousness towards those activities, that itself is called perfection of self-realization. At least we will start understanding about ourselves. We will be able to gain that perfection. And then gradually we will progress towards the realization of God. What exactly God is, what exactly Krishna is. So here, Srila Prabhupada, he talks about how a devotee, by proper culturing of the activities of the self, how he can become liberated. Self-realization also means liberation. These are simultaneously present. The amount of self-realization you achieve, that amount of liberation also you achieve from the material things. So, the state of liberation which Prabhupada here talks about, the man who is engaged in the activities of the self is called Jivana Mukta. Prabhupada has not said here that the man who has perfected the activities of the self is called Jivan Mukta. No. The man who is engaged, a man who is engaged in the activities of the self is called Jivana Mukta. In one of the conversations with Srila Prabhupada, one devotee asked Srila Prabhupada that, Prabhupada, you say that after practicing Krishna consciousness in this life, if we are supposed to go back to Godhead in the next life, we first go to a place where Krishna is performing his pastimes in this material world, and there we get further training, and then we go back to Godhead. So then Prabhupada says, yes. So then he asks the next question, Prabhupada, in this life also, because we are engaged in the Sankirtana movement, is it that we are already part of Krishna's pastimes? So he is thinking that the devotee is trying to ask whether I have reached that stage where I am already in the pastimes of Krishna, and whether this also is considered as the same association of Krishna's. So Prabhupada says, yes, this Sankirtana, if you are thoroughly engaged in Sankirtana, definitely you are in Krishna's association. So that means just being part of this Sankirtana movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, practicing the principles of this Sankirtana movement, actually we are experiencing the pastimes of Krishna, we are associating with Krishna, and that is why Prabhupada confidently says that after this life, you will go back to home, back to Godhead. Because in this life itself, Krishna has engaged us in those activities, his pastimes, that is the Sankirtana movement. So if somehow or other we sincerely participate in the Sankirtana movement, then we are already situated in association with Krishna in this very life. And then what to say about Jivan being Jivan Mukta? The question actually was asked to Srila Prabhupada in this context itself of being a Jivan Mukta. Prabhupada is describing about Jivan Mukta sa uchyate, how a devotee who is practicing devotional service, he comes to that stage where iha yasya harer dasya karmana manasa gira nikhilasva api avasthasu Jivan Mukta sa uchyate. So the context was this. So a devotee who is engaged in service of the Lord by his mind, by his words and by his deeds, by his actions, in all three ways. Karmana, manasa, gira. Karmana means by activities, manasa is by thoughts, and gira by words also. If a devotee is engaged in Lord's service, harer dasye, then what happens? Nikhilasva api avasthasu, whatever material situation he may be in, still what is he considered? Jivan Mukta sa uchyate. He is considered as Jivan Mukta, already liberated. That liberation is anyways there. So being Jivan Mukta is not a very big achievement. It anyways comes with practices of devotional service. What is the best gift that we get by starting our devotional services, our practices, especially in this Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtana movement, is the association of Lord Krishna and his pastimes, the direct association of it. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself is Krishna himself, and his Sankirtana movement is none other than Lord's own arrangement for devotees to closely, personally associate with him. Even if a devotee qualifies to go to a place within this material world where Krishna is performing his Bhauma Leela, the pastimes on this earthly planet, even if a devotee gets a chance to go there, he may or may not, 99% possibility is that he may not get the association, the direct association of the Lord. He will be in the much outer circles of Lord's various associates, devotees. In the outer circles he will be serving the Lord, much away from the Lord. But yes, he will be involved in some personal pastimes. But the beauty, the greatest gift of this Sankirtana movement for all of us is
personal association of the Supreme Lord is achieved by every devotee in the Sankirtana movement. By chanting the holy names, by having the darshan of the deities personally, right? Celebrating the festivals of the Lord so closely, and then most importantly, doing the Sankirtana, the congregational chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So this personal association which is granted by the Supreme Lord is the biggest gift of the Sankirtana movement. So Jivan Mukta, being liberated, is not a very big achievement or nothing to be sought after. What is to be sought after is serious and sincere association of the Lord through his Sankirtana. So that is more important. So the next question this devotee asked Srila Prabhupada is, so now if I am directly in touch with Krishna in the Sankirtana movement, can I take this Sankirtana and go to the forest and be associated with the Lord? Is it okay? So then Prabhupada says, no. Sankirtana means you have to talk about Krishna to others. You have to take Krishna to others. You have to chant his glories and make other people understand about his glories. That is what is real Sankirtana. So a devotee is not satisfied just with he should not be just satisfied with his own practices of devotional service. I am practicing, I am chanting, I am doing deity worship at home, I am worshipping the Lord, I am doing Ekadashi. Okay, that is okay at one level. That is okay for you to purify your anarthas. But then what is the goal of the devotee? That is Sankirtana, to propagate the glories of the Lord. That is most important. That is real participation in the Sankirtana movement. Chanting the glories of the Lord, propagating the glories of the Lord, and making people into devotees of the Lord. That is the real purpose of the Sankirtana movement. That is the real objective of Sankirtana movement. So that a devotee has to continuously focus on. That yes, I have to practice seriously. I have to sincerely do my devotional services. But then I should also spread the glories of the Lord to others. Generally we think that spreading the glories and preaching is only a task of a person who has fully dedicated himself to the services of the Lord. That is a very wrong understanding. A person who has fully dedicated himself to the service of the Lord, his 24 hours activity is propagation of the mission of the Lord. But as a practicing devotee of Sankirtana movement, whenever I get an opportunity, wherever I get an opportunity, I should be focusing on spreading the glories of the Lord. Not just practicing. So wherever a devotee gets an opportunity, he should be preaching about this, the glories of the Lord, so that others can take to Krishna consciousness and others can also get the association of the Lord in their lives. So here, Prabhupada in the purport again, he talks about in the perfect stage of devotional service, one is able to see that the Lord is present in his heart, and from him only all the knowledge, remembrance and forgetfulness takes place. So Prabhupada is referring to the shloka where Krishna says that mattah smritir jnanam apohanam cha. From me comes knowledge, forgetfulness and remembrance. So a devotee, so the Lord himself covers the living entity if the living entity wants to enjoy in this material world, and the same living entity, when it gets some amount of knowledge of the Supreme Lord, of the Self, then he can pray to the Lord based on that knowledge, and based on his prayers, the Lord will start removing his coverings. So many times we have question about how will this ignorance go away, Prabhu? How will this this lust go away? How will all this ego go away from my life? It is very difficult to make it go away. I am trying various things, and then give me some practical solutions. I want some practical solutions for this. What should I do so that I will not have lust anymore, I will not have ego, anger issues, correct? All those things at all. So the only practical solution is that prayers to the Lord. What is it mentioned here? By culture of transcendental knowledge, when the living being prays to the Lord for deliverance from the clutches of forgetfulness, the Lord, by his causeless mercy, removes the living being's illusory curtain, and thus he realizes his own self. So the process of removing the illusory curtain is not by doing some gymnastics on our own self. The main thing is praying to the Lord. Praying to the Lord, yes, directly you can go in front of the Lord and offer certain prayers, specifically to remove certain anarthas. But the most important prayer is intentful, attentive, and full of feelings, soulful chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That is what that soulful japa, all the different bhavanas we talk about, those bhavanas are nothing but prayers, right? At one place we pray for purification. There is a mala which talks about, the first mala is about obedience to Prabhupada. Then the next one, Shraddha. We talk about Shraddha, we talk about obedience, we talk about Preeti, isn't it? We talk about Kshama Apeksha, we ask for Raksha. So all these are intentful prayers to the Supreme Lord. So our Hare Krishna Mahamantra chanting should be a prayerful chanting rather than a mechanical chanting. The chanting which has feelings and chanting which has prayers to the Supreme Lord. So prayers can be chanted in front of the Lord. Separately, specific prayers you can offer to the Lord. But then while you are chanting, if you develop that prayerful mood and those various emotions, that is where the Lord will start, after hearing those emotions, after feeling those emotions, that is where the Lord will start removing that illusory covering from our mind, intelligence and ego. And that is when we will be able to see the pure self. So it is very much essential for all of us to practice these bhavanas, to study the bhavanas beforehand, and then when we come to next day's chanting, we should try to recollect those bhavanas so that with those bhavanas we will be able to chant our japa. So this prayer plays a very important role in a devotee's life to purify himself and to come to a stage where he will be available for the Lord to be engaged in his Sankirtana movement, where he can preach the glories of the Lord. So, and then what happens after this illusory covering or the illusory curtain is being removed? So he then engages himself in the service of the Lord in his eternal constitution position, becoming liberated from the conditional life. All this is executed by the Lord either through his external potency or directly by the internal potency. So here Srila Prabhupada, in this entire purport, he talks about how the illusions that are imposed upon our mind, intelligence, ego, and the illusions of we being this body, they are avidya, they are lack of knowledge, they are ignorance. And hence cultivation of knowledge is what is essential for a person to come out of ignorance. But this cultivation of knowledge, if one gets into just cultivation of knowledge, it won't be possible. Whereas by directly taking to the process of bhakti, very easily a devotee can, the knowledge very easily manifests in that devotee. Okay? So, Jnanam chayad ahetukam. Correct? The jnanam, the knowledge, it very naturally manifests in the devotee, and because of that knowledge, then he will be able to see the difference of the body and the mind, intelligence, ego from the pure self. And when such a self-realization happens, the devotee very sincerely starts engaging in the devotional service. More importantly, he participates in the Sankirtana movement, which is propagation or glorification of the Lord, so that others can take advantage of that knowledge, and then he also gets situated automatically in the perfect knowledge of the absolute truth, that is who Krishna is, who I am, what is the relationship between both of us, and how to render services in that relationship. So when all this happens, the devotee is able to have the Brahma Darshanam, that is he is able to see the Supreme Lord and himself as well as the Lord. Now, regarding this Brahma Darshanam, in one place Prabhupada brings up a very important point. That is Brahma Darshanam. When there is Darshanam, it means that there is a face-to-face seeing. Srila Prabhupada uses this word, face-to-face. A devotee will be able to see the Lord face-to-face. And then Prabhupada brings the very important point. When there is seeing face-to-face, it means both are persons. The soul, the self is also a person, and the Lord is also a person. He is not some energy, he is not some wake, some light or something like that. He is a person, and we can have darshanam of that person. So that means that the devotee, he does not get stuck up with the Brahman realization of the Lord or the Paramatma realization of the Lord, but the devotee achieves the complete realization of the Lord's personality. He is able to see the Lord personally, and because of that, he will also get the other realizations also, the Brahman and Paramatma realizations. Brahman and Paramatma realizations are directly, they are already situated within the Lord's personal realization. Just like many a times we would have heard this, Prabhupada uses this example of Birla. Those days Birlas were the most rich people. Now it is Ambanis and Adanis. So if we really want to know what is the total net worth of Ambani or Adani, it is very easy. You can go to so many newspapers, website, they will tell these many thousands or billions of dollars they have, and these many factories they have, these many businesses they have. So all that understanding we can get of all the energies that belong to Ambani or Adani. It is very easy to understand that. Then where all Ambani has his offices or houses, that also after some little more deeper research and all those things you can get the understanding. Where all Ambani stays or from where he works. Ambani, Adani, all those people. So that is the Paramatma realization, where all he is situated locally, localized presence of Ambani, Adani. But then to really understand that Ambani or Adani person, we need to be part of his family, the close family. Somehow we have to get as close as possible so that we are in the close circles of his family, and that is where we get understanding of Ambani as a person. Now, whatever understanding of his net worth we have got from the newspapers and all those things, it may or may not be complete. Whatever understanding we have got of his localized presence, some of the houses we will be aware, some offices will be aware. But the inner core of his family, when we get into that core and when we understand that person as an Ambani or Adani, the person himself, that is where automatically all these other understandings also come as the factor of it. His close family members will be knowing already how much net worth our father or brother or this husband, how much he has. Or some of the very close friends will be aware of all the things. So similarly, when a devotee achieves the Brahma Darshanam, when he achieves the Darshana of the Lord, when he is able to see the Lord face to face, when he becomes close to the Lord, when he himself becomes close to the Lord, Lord is always close to us. But we who have distanced ourselves from the Lord, when we get close to the Lord and are able to see the Lord personally, then automatically all the realizations, other realizations become possible for the devotee. So for a devotee, there is no necessity of going through jnana or specifically to develop vairagya, detachment from everything. All these things automatically come as part of the devotional service. Jnanam, Janayati ashu vairagyam jnanam chayad ahetukam. That is the quality of bhakti. Bhakti, what it does? Janayati ashu vairagyam. Very soon a devotee becomes detached from many, many things, and his detachments continue. And also, the jnana also develops in the devotee. So, what a devotee needs to do is just continue his practices of devotional service, his sincere practices of devotional service, and whatever amount of practice I am doing, whatever amount of knowledge I have gained in Krishna consciousness, immediately start spreading that knowledge to others in the form of Sankirtana. So if we start preaching Krishna consciousness, to whatever extent we have learned Krishna consciousness, then that is what will help us to see the Lord personally. We will be able to understand His glories, we will more deeply, and we will be able to see ourselves properly in relation to the Lord, and that is what will improve the quality of our devotional services. So Sankirtana is an extremely essential activity of our devotional progress. Preaching Krishna consciousness. Every devotee in this Sankirtana movement is supposed to be a preacher, not just practitioner. Every devotee is supposed to be a preacher. So Prabhupada, he gave us example right from that small Saraswati, that small girl. So Prabhupada used to say that Saraswati is also a guru, because to everyone she meets, she tells who Krishna is. She tells Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Saraswati is also a guru. So Prabhupada is trying to stress that even a small child can preach and become a guru and spread Krishna consciousness. So definitely all of us, when we have gained so much of knowledge, gained so much of understanding of Krishna, we are practicing Krishna consciousness, we are chanting, it becomes all the more important for all of us to go and talk about Krishna to others, to spread Krishna consciousness. The easiest way to do it is to take Srila Prabhupada's books to others. Street Sankirtana and all, India not much appreciate, people don't appreciate it much, but books, if you take books, if you talk to people about books, the knowledge that is there in those books, and somehow encourage them to take the books, they will be introduced to Krishna consciousness and they will be able to take up Krishna consciousness. So this activity of book distribution, the Sankirtana, that is why in Western countries, when they used to go for book distribution, they used to call it a Sankirtan. Right? The Sankirtan was their book distribution. Sankirtan was not only the singing of Hare Krishna Mahamantra with Kartal and Mridanga, but it used to be mainly book distribution. That was the real Sankirtan. So that real Sankirtan, if somehow or other every devotee picks up that I have to distribute the knowledge through the books of Srila Prabhupada to every person I come in contact with, that is the participation in the Sankirtana movement, and by doing that, we will advance leaps and bounds in our devotional service. So, and then we will be able to one day have this Brahma Darshanam, the personal association of the Lord in Goloka Vrindavan, definitely. And meanwhile, our immediate Brahma Darshanam that we have every day of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra when we chant, that also will keep on improving dramatically. You will see dramatic improvements if we start preaching Krishna consciousness. That effect will be there in our own chanting. We will feel that. We will be able to realize Krishna more and more. So these were some of the points from this shloka. If anybody has anything to add or anything to ask, we can take up for a few minutes. Yes, Prabhu.
Then we will go through again the cycles of birth and death.
Mm-hmm.
So liberated although in material existence, how do we understand?
Yeah, a devotee, when he is liberated in material existence, means he is not affected by the ups and downs of this material existence. That samatvam yoga uchyate, what we talk about, the equanimity that he achieves. Okay, I have gone through certain ups and downs of life, and so a devotee does not get disturbed. That is what is the meaning of Jivan Muktaha. He is freed from the difficulties of this material world. So the Jivan Mukta stage is not a 0-1 stage. Okay, one day I am Jivan Mukta and another day, till now I was not and now I have suddenly become Jivan Mukta. The Jivan Mukta also, it has gradations. A devotee gradually progresses in this stage also. But what he gets is the immediate relief from the material miseries. And then he keeps on developing. So if a devotee happens to, suppose he is somehow not able to successfully complete on his devotional goals and not able to, or he falls down eventually, and he has to go into the cycle of birth and death. But still for the devotee, the life is not the kind of life which a person who otherwise was a karmi would have got. A karmi is sinful activities, or a fall down for a karmi. Fall down nahi. Same activity which a devotee calls fall down, if a karmi gets engaged in those activities, the kind of birth he may get is not necessarily a human birth. Whereas for a devotee, at least human birth is guaranteed, where he will continue his devotional service. So as such, for a devotee, even if there is a fall down, there is nothing lost for a devotee. In terms of time also, if you see, there is nothing much lost. In terms of our eternal existence, another one more life, that too in Krishna consciousness, is nothing. So a devotee who has taken to Krishna consciousness is already liberated. There is nothing for him to worry about. He is not going to go into the other 80 lakh yonis from which he has already crossed and come to this human birth. Now that we have got this Krishna consciousness and having uttered Hare Krishna Mahamantra so many times, having rendered so much of devotional service to the Lord, whatever, even if it is an mixed devotional service also, still there is nothing lost for a devotee. Even if there is an apparent fall down, there is no loss in terms of his devotional activities, his devotional services. Lord is not going to take away your devotional credits because of fall down. Because of fall down, there is just a temporary hurdle. There is one more life, some more years to be spent in this material world, but while doing devotional service. So that is in that ways, if you see, the devotee is already liberated. There is no question of devotee getting caught into the samsara bandhana again. He's in the process of liberation only. He's in the process of getting freed from all of it. Yes, Prabhu.
नेहा विक्रम नाशो अस्ति प्रत्यवाय न विद्यते स्वल्पमसि स्वल्पमपि धर्मस्य त्रायते
महतो भयात्. Yes. So त्रयते महतो भयात् is there definitely, but with the fall down there is a little bit of hurdle. So त्रयते महतो भयात्, that going back into the lower species is definitely not there. There is a little bit of hurdle, little bit of difficulties a devotee faces. Because again, the next birth, he will have to wait for some more time to get the right opportunity to start his devotional service. At that first opportunity, he may or may not be able to accept devotional service, like how it has happened to all of us also. Many times we got opportunity to come to devotional service, but only after many years or after giving up many opportunities, we took up one of the opportunities, isn't it? So that is the difficulty that a devotee may face, but otherwise there is no loss. So he is Jivan Mukta. Once taken to devotional service, the day he starts devotional service is Jivan Mukta. It is immediately available for a devotee. Prabhupada gives this example. Prabhupada talks about touching the fire. As soon as you are with the fire, all the effect of fire will be there on you. Even if whether you have the knowledge of fire or not, the fire will have effect on you. In the same context, Prabhupada talks, that conversation which I was referring to, same context Prabhupada talks about the fire. So whether a devotee has just begun his devotional service, he gets the benefit of being Jivan Mukta.
So do we understand it as his spiritual existence continues? There is no hindrance for that.
Spiritual existence, so anyways it continues. Every soul will exist eternally. That is continuing. But his devotional existence keeps on advancing. there is no obstruction to it. There is no stoppage of it. A hurdle may be there, a hurdle which can be crossed over by some extra efforts, but there is no obstruction to it. So for a devotee, even if he falls down also, there is as such no obstruction. That is why Lord says, no, that apichet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak sadhureva samantavya samyak vyavasito hi saha. And then he says, Kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shantim nigacchati kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. Isn't it? So the fall down also, the Lord does not consider it as a very big this thing. He knows that this devotee, if he continues his devotional service, apichet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhak, even if he has fallen down, if he has done some durachara, has happened from his hands, knowingly, unknowingly, but if he continues his devotional service, that is the most important thing. A devotee has to continue his devotional service, irrespective of whatever fall downs. So then, sadhureva samantavya samyak vyavasito hi saha. And kshipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shantim nigacchati. Very soon the devotee will again bounce back. It does not take a long time for a devotee to bounce back from fall downs. So he will bounce back and he will be situated and he will never be defeated. That is what is Lord's assurance to all of us. So this is what is Jivan Mukta. We are already liberated. Once we have started chanting, once we have started following Srila Prabhupada's teachings, accepted Srila Prabhupada as our teacher, guide, spiritual master, we are Jivan Mukta. There is nothing big deal to be liberated. So now what is next? While practicing, we have to preach. So that preaching is what every devotee has to take up. क्योंकि वो तो बाकी सब तो मिल गया, मुक्ति वक्ति सब मिल गया. Now I have to propagate, and that is how I will be able to advance leaps and bounds. So that is what is required. Okay. So we'll stop here. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, विश्वगुरु शील प्रभुपाद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल. हरे कृष्ण.
Hare